disclaimer, I am not a doctor, nor have I ever claimed to be a doctor, but I did get trained and I did get hands-on experience with everything that I'm going to tell you guys about. This is my child, this is my choice, my business to put this out there. I don't need sympathy from anybody. I just want to educate and inform other people that may be going through the same thing. If you feel some type of way about me speaking about my child on my YouTube channel, then don't watch my videos. Keep your negative comments to yourself. Thank you. Welcome back to my channel, everyone. My name's Navi, and if you haven't seen my first 2 videos, the links are going to be in the description box below. Please check them out so you can stay updated with our journey. So with all that being said, let's get right into the video. Ending of May 2018 now. Professionals that were involved with coordinating Nathan's medical care in the hospital did not have a solution. They didn't know how or when Nathan would recover, and they wanted to send us home with Nathan attached to a ventilator. I've never seen it in the West Indian community. I had just gotten used to taking care of a trach and a G-tube. They felt like Danny and I were young parents and we don't know what we're talking about. The doctors never told us the truth in the first place, so why would I want to believe them now? Lied about what happened with the lung surgery. They damaged Nathan's airway and didn't tell us the truth about that. This is like 3rd or 4th thing, like why should I trust you now? So some of the nurses in the pediatric ICU understood where we were coming from at that time. A nurse that we had a good relationship with decided to slip me a paper. It was a referral from a pulmonologist at another hospital. Immediately, I'm gonna call this doctor and I'm gonna explain what's going on and see what he says from there. So pulmonologist understood where we were coming from. We explained the whole situation from the trach to up to that point. And he's a doctor that has privilege in a lot of hospitals in Central Florida. That means he has access to patient records and information. He was able to come to the hospital we were at, and Nathan would have to be on a ventilator. He talked about Nathan having pulmonary hypertension, Nathan having pulmonary edema, and these were 2 things that I never heard before and were never mentioned by the doctors before this. So now I knew why he was getting Rovatio is also Viagra. He was getting that for pulmonary hypertension. He made us a promise to get Nathan's trach out as fast as he could. Going home on the ventilator now, it wasn't as bad as I thought. His new pulmonologist told me that if I could take care of a trach and a G-tube, then the ventilator would be a piece of cake. A little bit more accepting of going home with the ventilator versus the very first time I was told. The vent had to be connected to an oxygen machine or a concentrator, and that oxygen was connected to Nathan. Nathan had to move to the next room. All 3 things would have to go. Both machines made noise, the ventilator and concentrator. We were living in an apartment building on the 3rd floor, and when we would have to go to doctor's visits for follow-ups, we would have to carry Nathan, the ventilator, and oxygen all at the same time. So it would be like a 2-person job. During that time also, we couldn't take Nathan much places. We had my mom come and she would watch Nathan there. I learned how to enjoy being home. I was still recovering from the lung surgery. He was on the ventilator. We were trying to wean him off of that, plus all the medications he was on. I got him into rehabilitation for kids. I had PT, OT, speech and feeding therapy. The vent, because it was attached to his neck and it's this long clear tube attached to the ventilator, he couldn't crawl, he couldn't roll. The exercises they were doing with him didn't work with what he was doing. So this right here is a scary moment for me. One morning, I was sleeping and Danny was up with Nathan. So next thing I know, I hear Danny yell for me. I jumped up immediately and he was telling me that the trach is out. And I'm looking at Nathan's neck, but Nathan couldn't breathe. I'm trying to look at his neck and see where the trach is and try to put it back in as fast as I can so he can get some type of air in. It wasn't working. The whole time he was fussing. I got the trach in and I was like, take the vent off for a second and suction him, and he collapses in Danny's arms. And I had Danny put him on the bed and I called 911. And I get the ambu bag and I start pumping Nathan. As I'm on the phone with 911, I'm pumping Nathan, giving him CPR. And the 911 operator starts telling me what to do so I can continue to keep Nathan, breathing. The ambulance came and I wasn't even dressed properly. I had literally just woke up. The EMTs took over and started giving him CPR and took him to the ambulance. I grabbed all my things as fast as I could and I went in the ambulance with Nathan, and Danny was gonna follow us and meet us there. And Nathan's still not responding. They're asking me questions and his history, and at the same time, I'm like, I don't know. I kept saying, I don't know. Like, I'm not really listening to the questions. I'm just looking at Nathan. I couldn't save him. And we called his pulmonologist, the new one, and we asked them, what do we do? Do we stay here and let them take care of him? Or do we transfer him to the new hospital so you can take care of him there? And the doctor said, let's transfer him. So I got in the ambulance again, went to the new hospital. When we got there, we told them we wanted a different ENT doctor. ENT was the one who was handling Nathan's trach. So we changed the doctor and he came in. He was like, we have to do a bronchoscopy because Nathan caught a seizure in the hospital. He almost coded. He saw that Nathan had a piece of granulated tissue in his airway that was causing the trach itself to push out. He removes the granulated tissue, puts in a different size trach so it fits Nathan, and just making sure health overall is great. And at that time, I had all of his doctors come in because I didn't want to leave and then have another issue happen. So I was like, let me just have everyone come in and check him out before we go home. So at that time, I was also pregnant, and it caused me to have a miscarriage because I was so stressed out. My body was in shock. September, Nathan had made a lot of progress since that issue had been resolved with the trach coming out, and he was weaning down from the ventilator. As you come off of a vent, you have to have the settings continued to be lowered. That way the doctor can tell that you can breathe on your own. And eventually he got off of it. That's when he started to learn how to crawl, and he learned how to walk, and he learned how to run and grab things and do things, and it increased his development. I was able to take him to the park. I didn't have to worry about taking a whole bunch of machines with Nathan attached to them at the same time. I could take him to the pool. I love taking him to the pool. He loves water. I could take him to the beach. We took him to restaurants. We took him to a lot of places, trying to catch up to what he missed out. At that point, I had a lot of hope, and I knew that I made the right decision switching doctors and changing the hospital that we went to, because I feel like if I didn't make a switch, I don't know where Nathan would be at this point. So thank God that we educated ourselves enough to do what was best for Nathan at that time. Well, with all that, there's more to the story, so make sure you hit that notification bell. That way you can stay updated with me. And until next time, thank you guys for watching.